Isom, and I am the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services. We're here this morning to talk about a critical issue of subway safety and how we want to provide better care for our fellow New Yorkers who are unhoused. Let me kick it off by introducing our Mayor, Eric Adams.
NJ, haven't seen you in a little bit. You know, grinding, focus, no distractions. Thank you so much. Every time I come here, I think about the days of being a transit cop, riding these subways. This was a different station. It was filled with violence and uncertainty, and people threw up their hands and thought that we could not commute in a safe way. And many of us feel, and the numbers are saying, we are back again. And it's imperative that we have the right response that has the combination of being humane but clear. The lack of clarity is creating the conditions that we're seeing. So I'm proud to be here, stand with the governor of the state of New York, MTA, labor is here with us. This entire team is coming together and to talk about how do we have a full recovery of not only our transit system, but our city. And it starts right here, right now, in our subway system. We say this over and over again, but sometimes we verbalize it and not actualize it. But the subway system and our bus system, they are the lifeblood of our city. If we don't get them right, our city won't continue to recover from COVID. Millions of New Yorkers use the system to go to school, to their place of employment, and just to visit their loved ones. It provides a vital service. And in fact, that is what makes us who we are. Nowhere across the globe can you move throughout this city in this manner by using public transportation. And it's how tourists move throughout the city. If they don't feel safe, they don't come and shop and explore our city, and it's a major impact on our financial ecosystem. So it is the subway system and our buses make New York what it is. And if they're not safe, if people don't feel safe, and if the numbers of crime are not reflective of who and what we want to be as a city, it's going to impact us. I say it over and over again, and in fact, many of you can finish the statement. But public safety and justice, they are the prerequisite to prosperity. I've said it for years, and I will continue not only to say it, but to make it happen. It must begin here in our subway system, and we are here to say it is going to start here. Subway riders are deeply concerned. We hear it all the time. I hear it every time I'm on the subway system. People tell me about their fear of using the system, and we're going to ensure that fear is not New York's reality. And so in the wake of the pandemic, you know it, we all see it, the number of homelessness of individuals have increased substantially. Many of them are here because of loss of jobs, uncertainty of where they live in, untreated medical crises and conditions, health challenges, while the vast majority of the unhoused and mentally ill, let's be clear on this, they are not dangerous. The vast majority are not dangerous. But we have to be honest about the numbers of individuals who are dealing with mental health crises. They are dangerous to themselves and dangerous to New Yorkers. Just yesterday, on the L train, a train I rode as a police officer in transit cop, we had a stabbing on that train, and it just sends shockwaves throughout the system. And so too many passengers, first day of coming to Borough Hall, to City Hall, riding the train, seeing homelessness, seeing fights, seeing just a disruption. Who wants to start their day that way? Of that level of despair that's right in front of them as they enter a system just to get to their place of destination. And you have my word as the mayor, protecting New Yorkers is my top priority. We were here in January, Governor, and we did a kickoff on one layer, the first layer of what we must do, of having our officers park their vehicles, go into the subway stations, as well as those who are transit officers. And the commissioner and I stated our clear plan. Since that, Commissioner, your officers have had 115,000 inspections of the system, complementing the transit personnel. That's the partnership of the first wave that we wanted to conduct. But we're saying that is not enough. It was only the first wave of a complex problem that we are facing. We're now going to move into the next phase of our operation. And we're not going to abandon our homeless brothers and sisters. And that's what we have done. We've betrayed New Yorkers. And that was the state of existence. We pretended as though we didn't see it, and we allowed them to live in inhumane environments, and that is not what my administration is going to do. We are not going to live in fear and frustration that we can't seem to get our system safe and operating correctly. And as I stated, we've been here before. As a former transit police officer, I know what that system looks like, filled with graffiti and uncertainty, and afraid to use the system that you deserve to have. Today we are saying we're not going backwards, we're moving forward, and we are rolling out the next phase of our operation, which is our subway safety plan. This plan is a real comprehensive plan of all of the team members that are coming together to deal with the complex problem of homelessness in our subway system that actually spills out onto our streets. I say this about crime, and I'm going to say it again about homelessness, a decade of failure, that there are many rivers that feed the sea of homelessness, and we have to dam every river if we're going to address this issue. And that is what I'm going to do. The subway plan is a comprehensive civic strategy that will do more than deal with a temporary fix. You can't put a Band-Aid on a cancerous sore. That is not how you solve the problem. You must remove the cancer and start the healing process. We would do this by investing in 3 areas: people, places, and policies. And it begins today with the people you see around me. This is an unprecedented team of people that are coming together and damming each river that they are in control of damming to stop the flow of feeding the sea. Department of Homeless Services, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, NYPD, MTA, transit workers, and community-based providers, all under one umbrella, the governor of the state of New York. And we cannot have a better person to be here to help us navigate this crisis we are facing. You stood with me in January, and I thank you for standing with us today to send the message that we are unified on having a safe, productive, affordable, reliable transit system. These are people with lived experiences that understands how we navigate and build the dams on these rivers, because people are the key to connections and change. There are people who coordinate the cross-agency response that was needed to turn back decades of disinvestments. Decades of disinvestments. They will be coordinating a case-by-case approach in helping New Yorkers. It will start with deploying the new joint response teams that will reach out to unhoused New Yorkers in our system. Their mission, to connect those in crisis with immediate contact and care. But they will do more. The initial contact will be follow-up with housing and support. And they will not stop there. Community-based outreach teams will work with NYPD officers to canvass platforms, stairwells, and entrances. We are not going to wait until someone shoves a person onto the tracks. We're being proactive, and we're going to engage New Yorkers who are unhoused or dealing with mental health crises. And our new neighborhood response units, staffed by clinicians and peers, will address high-need communities. We know where they are. There's one case where women has been living under a stairway in this system for months. It's just not acceptable. Not under my administration. That is not dignity. That is disgusting. And that's not who we are as a city. Starting next week, New York will see the teams in action. You will see it right away. It will include transit hub teams, end-of-line teams that will work with the MTA and NYPD to serve high-priority areas. The train ends at the end of the line. Someone is on there with shopping carts, clothing, bags, sleeping, unkept. That's not existing anymore. It's just not going to happen. They will prevent people from riding the trains back and forth all night as though we don't see them. And most importantly, they will be reaching out to connect homeless New Yorkers to places where they can stay. Going forward, we will no longer give an option to exist in this system in this way. Now it's mandatory. The system is not made to be housing. It's made to be transportation. And we have to return back to that basic philosophy. If someone is in physical, emotional distress, we can't leave them on the train for their own safety and the safety of others. That's a betrayal. We must intervene and get help. In addition to these teams, New Yorkers will see an increased presence of NYPD in trains and on stations to ensure that we are keeping the quality of life that we expect. Officers will enforce key elements of the MTA and New York City Transit Authority rules. There are rules. I mean, there are rules to ride in this system. Andy Byford, the former head of the system, when he came here and did a tour, he says, y'all let people sleep on your trains? You let people live on your train? I mean, what is that about? We got so used to being dysfunctional that it became the normality. Well, I'm not a dysfunctional mayor, and I don't pretend that a problem doesn't exist. We identify, we fix problems, we get stuff done. That's what my administration is going to be about. We enforce these elements in these rules. No more smoking, no more doing drugs, no more sleeping, no more doing barbecues on the subway system, no more just doing whatever you want. No, those days are over. Swipe your Metro card, ride the system, get off at your destination. That's what this administration is saying. We're going to protect our transit riders and protect those who are in need of care. And what I want to make clear, so we don't hear later, this is not about arresting people. This is about arresting a problem. We're not going to be heavy-handed. We're not saying if you break a minor infraction that we're going to put handcuffs on you. We're going to correct the conditions. That's what we're going to do in this plan. And the next part of the plan, making sure we have places for people to live, heal, and be cared for. We will work with our federal and state partners to increase the supply of supportive housing, inpatient treatment beds, and safe havens. I want to thank the governor again for, as we start to repurpose some of the psychiatric beds that were closed due to COVID, we're looking to repurpose those beds and allow people to have the treatment that they deserve. And we need to streamline the bureaucratic, difficult process that we start from the position of what we can't do instead of starting from a position of what we can do. This culture of can't is sickening. Let's start for what we can do and not what we can't do. And finally, we must reform our policies that have allowed this crisis to exist. Kendra's law, let's start using it. Let's start looking at how do we modify it to do a better job for those who are dangerous to themselves and others, and get the help from federal and state funding for these additional hospital beds and changing our housing laws that we don't continue to traumatize people who need assistance. We have your data. Let's make the process more streamlined. And as I said when discussing gun violence, it's about intervention and prevention, and that is our goal. That is what we're going to do. So today, we're going to start at getting at the root of the crises and giving people the help that they need. Going forward, my administration will be working in close partnership with the state and federal government and all of the agencies coming together to prevent homelessness in a real way. We must examine the systemic challenges that is causing people to live on the street. No one wants to live on the streets. No one wants to live under a staircase, on a grate, in a tunnel. No one wants to live in an inhumane fashion that we have betrayed them and called them to live in. We're going to reform this system from top to bottom and ensure all people have the dignity that they deserve and have the housing and healing that they need. And that is why we put this team together in the first place. So no more temporary solutions. We're going to the root and help people get the second chances so they can live a prosperous life. So we cannot have our hearts broken every morning when we see this despair and uncertainty. We cannot allow our riders to feel as though the system cannot be productive. This is one of the most challenging parts of this city, and you all know it. And I guarantee today, someone is going to say, are you going to fix this in a week? I guarantee it's going to be automatic. This is decades of betrayal, decades. And so things that happen in decades, we can't wait decades to fix. But it's not going to be fixed on Monday morning. It's going to be fixed with coordination, consistency, commitment, and dedication to resolving this issue. And that's why this team is here to do so. We can help our brothers and sisters who are in despair by just acting as though we care. And I care. This team care that we've assembled together. We're going to make sure those who are lost are finally found and receive the support that they deserve. We're going to keep our transit system safe, clean, affordable, and reliable. And that is why we put this team together. And I cannot say enough about the governor, who has been consistent in her conversations with me on how do we turn the corner on this transit system that is vital to the city and vital to the state of New York. Therefore, it gives me great pleasure in introducing the governor of the state of New York, Kathy Hochul.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you for your powerful words of commitment to address a problem that has been long time simmering. And I have one message for New Yorkers. We can and we will do better. And it is because we have not had the collaboration, the partnership, the willingness to roll up our sleeves and work together as a city and a state for far too long. And as we said when we gathered here on January 6th, that era is over, and this era of working together is what will take us to a level that New Yorkers have not seen before, unprecedented cooperation that'll lead to real results. And this may seem like a problem, which is too tough to tackle. But I do believe, as the mayor does, we have assembled the best and the brightest, the most committed public servants to come to solve this. We will accomplish what New Yorkers deserve, and that is a safe ride on our subway system, at the same time recognizing the very real humanitarian crisis that has been unfolding before our eyes for far too long. Individuals who deserve better as well. So I want to thank Mayor Adams for his willingness to work so closely together. Our commissioner of the NYPD, she's doing an incredible job, Commissioner Sewell. Jan O'Lever, who has been bringing us ideas on how to make the MTA more welcoming, more inviting, make people want to be here. And I want to thank the leaders of the labor community, particularly Tony Utano, and all the TW workers who showed up day after day after day, not worried about their own safety during the pandemic. They worried about the safety of the riders in our buses and subways, and I want to thank them in particular. And to all the other members of our team, Dr. Anne Marie Sullivan, our Commissioner of Mental Health, who took her team into the subways, went up to individuals to find out what was going on in real time with our homelessness problem. I want to thank her for literally being so hands-on and bringing her ideas to us as well, and the other members of the team. We have a common objective. One, we have to bring this city, this state back from this pandemic. And as I look at the streets, and I was a little bit late, and I apologize to the mayor because I'm always on time, I had to jog a few blocks because the traffic was getting heavy. That's all right. I need the exercise. But that being said, it does look a lot better than it did a year ago, year and a half ago, when these streets were ghost towns. So we are coming back, but we want people to leave their cars at home, get back on the subways, and join the 3 million New Yorkers who've already taken the step to do that. We're down a little bit. You'll hear about this from Jano. We need to get up to at least our pre-pandemic numbers of 6 million, but this is a very positive sign. But it is counterintuitive for someone to say, I'm called back to my job, I can't stay at home working Zoom anymore, it's time to come back. At the same time, they're seeing headlines and stories about individuals, Asian women who go down on the subway and have to literally have their back against the wall because of the very real fear that something could happen to them. And so we're going to change that mindset. And New Yorkers, we're a little cynical sometimes, and you do want it done yesterday, and the mayor is right. We need some time to execute this. But the bottom line is that we have plans. We know what we're doing. And we're going to make sure that the public is aware of our efforts as well. And I thank all the riders who are here today, people walking through here. This is a sign of life that has been missing for far too long. And as we're coming through this pandemic, and our infection rate statewide is about 2.5%. We're getting there, my friends. We are making tremendous progress. But in the meantime, all the issues that rose up their ugly heads, they've been there simmering under the surface for far too long. And now they've risen up, and we will address them. So I want to talk about some of the steps that we're going to be taking. One is that we talked about mental health challenges. And what I want to talk about is how we're going to address the regulations that the Office of Mental Health, and Dr. Sullivan will talk about this in her regulations, but we need to talk about what's involved in removal and involuntary commitment for the highest need individuals who truly have demonstrated that they're not capable of taking care of themselves. That's a cry for help. That is a cry for help. And so people who are suffering from the extreme symptoms can be a danger to themselves and a danger to others. We need to issue regulations that'll give those who witness this behavior, those who are in the subways, the law enforcement, other individuals, our teams that we talked about bringing together, the experts, give them more authority to take some steps to get people out of those circumstances and into a place so they can begin the healing. And this is long overdue. We see New Yorkers clearly suffering in plain sight, and people have long thought that the rules and regulations require them to be just left there and ignored. That's not how we treat God's children. We have to give them hope, give them treatment, recognize they're there because they need help. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're issuing new regulations, identifying what we can do to help people get to the helps they need before something happens to them or an innocent bystander. Also, we talk about why aren't there more beds available? If someone does need psychiatric care, where are the beds? Well, during this pandemic, for many reasons, flex and surge and lack of reimbursement that's satisfactory to the hospitals because they need more money to cover their expenses, we have about 1,000 beds that should be fully functioning, 600 in New York City alone. So what we're going to do, we've agreed to an increase in the Medicaid reimbursement. The state share would be a 10% increase, and the federal government, we're asking to match that. So it'd be a 20% increase in how our hospitals are reimbursed when it comes to providing psychiatric beds. And when we overcome that barrier, the gap between psychiatric and non-psychiatric beds, and make it closer, that creates the right incentive to say, yes, let's get them filled with the people who need the most help. We're also proposing $27.5 million for psych beds statewide, as I mentioned, an increase of what we have right now. Also, supportive housing beds, another $12 million for 500 supportive housing beds. And also, here's the challenge. You can have all the beds you want, but if they're not staffed by professionals, it serves no purpose. And we have a shortage of healthcare workers. That's why in our budget, just announced a few weeks ago, we announced a $10 billion plan to shore up our healthcare workforce and support our hospitals. But within that, when you peel back, who takes care of these people who have the greatest psychiatric mental health needs? We have a severe shortage of psychiatrists and psychiatric nurses. So we're putting nearly $10 million on the table for recruitment and retention, and even helping them pay off their student loans and saying, come from other states, come from elsewhere, go to this profession because your fellow New Yorkers need you. So that's an area we're going to be announcing up to $150,000 in loan forgiveness for these individuals. Also, our safe option support teams, our SOS teams. Yes, we want to have at least 20. There's about 8 to 10 on each team. We have RFPs out. There's a process we have to follow. But in the meantime, we've had volunteers from all kinds of state agencies who have stepped up, embedded with our New York City partners to be literally in the subways addressing them. We expect to have that taken care of shortly. So basically, we know it's a big problem. But shame on us at this moment in time if we don't turn over every single stone, find every possible way to deal with this, whether it's making sure that people feel safe, that the laws are being enforced, critically important. Even codes of conduct, you'll hear from Jano about this. Yes, there are rules that just have been ignored for far too long, but also public safety, getting the guns off the streets. Another one of our priorities are working together toward that objective, and dealing with the homelessness crisis. And as human beings, we all have a responsibility to use our resources, use our talents, use every level of government to deal with this problem for the individuals involved and also for the security and peace of mind for people, not just in the subways, but on the streets of New York, the streets of upstate communities, because we need to do this. This is what government does. We take care of people, we provide the resources, and we'll get this done. So we hear the New Yorkers. We hear New Yorkers. We hear about it all the time. Yes, when I'm jogging down the street or walking down a little bit slower, people come up to me. This is how I stay engaged. And they tell me their fears. They tell me they're worried. They have a baby stroller, a couple of toddlers and an infant. And they say, we want the old New York back. We don't feel safe anymore. And that hits me right here in my heart, because this is the greatest city that the world has ever known. We just have to take care of some problems and give people that faith again. And faith comes from results. They'll see results. They see cooperation. They don't see fighting. We don't need to fight with each other. We need to fight for the people out there who are counting on all of us. That's what we promised to do. And that's why we gather today in this very place to send out a message. We understand, we hear you, we have a plan, and we'll get the job done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Governor, and thank you to you and your team. Next, we have our Police Commissioner, Kishant Sewell, who the Commissioner does have to leave right after her remarks, but we will have one of the chiefs that will be here when we're taking questions. Commissioner?
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. This city made too much progress over the years to fall backward. The police and the public have to be partners and collaborate with other professionals, social services, and clinicians to make this city safer. The subway will be safe, and the people who use it have to be protected. And the conditions that cause fear must be ameliorated. That necessity of safety includes those in need. We are enhancing our efforts where strategies are working and fixing where improvements are necessary. We will not simply talk about it. Immediate action must be taken to address the crises of mental health and homelessness across this city. It will be done compassionately. We have to be innovative, and we will be successful. As we emerge from the pandemic and look to bring workers back to their offices and more tourists to our hotels, restaurant, and entertainment, we know the days and weeks ahead present challenges. Starting next week, as the mayor said, the NYPD will join clinicians, social workers, and our other partners to link people to the services they desperately need. We will canvass high-priority areas on the trains, inside stations, and at the end of certain lines, beginning with the A, E, 1, 2, N, and R lines. Trained people will look to assist those in need. We will enforce transit rules when necessary, but this is about helping people, all people. We know that through the skillful deployment and continued dedication of all of our personnel, we will see crime reduction. This will take a sustained combination of precision policing and omnipresence. Since we announced our initial plan last month to deploy additional uniformed police officers to conduct more frequent and regular sweeps of the subway system, there have been in excess of 115,000 station inspections by transit police and patrol officers citywide. And each day, we're deploying an additional 1,000 police officers into the system to keep New Yorkers safe. We are targeting our efforts at stations and on subway lines that have seen an increased number of riders, reports of crime, or both. The goal, of course, is always to deter or prevent crime, not just respond to it. The additional inspections, coupled with the regular efforts of the thousands of transit officers already assigned full-time, are creating a blanket of public safety that New Yorkers at all hours of the day and night can see and feel as they make their way to and from work, home, and school. These new efforts we're announcing today to address those experiencing homelessness or mental illness will further enhance the effective ways we help all of our communities. We owe this to New Yorkers on the streets and in the subways. The subways must and will be safe. This plan is accomplishing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sewell. I'd now like to invite to the podium the chairman of the MTA, Jana Lieber.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Governor Hochul. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Adams. Thank you all for your commitment to delivering a safe environment for our riders and to restoring order in the transit system, those twin goals. The measures announced today are important, they're necessary, and they will address the issues that we're all seeing underground. The NYPD is an amazing partner for us. They handle the policing of the entire subway system. And now, with the city's promise, the mayor's promise to step up enforcement of that MTA code of conduct, and I want to thank the mayor for pointing out that we actually have a flyer and it summarizes it really succinctly. But that enforcement commitment is a game changer. Making sure that we have a safe system is key to winning riders back. As important as the commitment that the governor made possible to keep fares flat, not to raise the fare this year because we know the New Yorkers don't need an increase in costs as they're trying to find their way back to normal life and normal commuting. The subway rule violations cannot be ignored. That means, as the mayor pointed out so well, no more open drug use, no more smoking, no more oversized shopping carts, and no more sprawling out across the platform. People who are abusive to our staff, to the heroic transit workers, or to riders who are yelling and ranting, we want them to get help. We know that they must be helped, but they can't stay in the subway system. We're coming back fast from COVID, as the governor pointed out. We've had 3 million riders literally day after day. That's a 50% increase from where we were just a few weeks ago at the depths of the Omicron surge. We want to keep up that momentum. It's critical not only to the financial health of the MTA, but as the governor has made clear it's key to the larger economic recovery of the city and the state. We all have a part to play. Yes, even the public, our riders, can get involved. As the saying goes, if you see something, say something. If you see someone who needs help, call 311. The city's system, 311 system, has now been configured to enable response to reports of homelessness and people who need services. If it's an emergency, call 911. You can also let the MTA staff know by using the help points on every platform or by messaging the MTA on WhatsApp. We actually look at it all the time. We're going to be planning, we've already begun putting signage all over the system to let the riders know how they let us know so that we can work with the city and the state and the professionals who are being deployed in the system to reach people quickly. I just have to say, I'm incredibly moved on behalf of the riders of New York to know that the mayor and the governor are here today making this kind of commitment to make this system safe and feel safe. From the beginning, both of you have recognized that it's not dignified or compassionate to just let people fend for themselves in the subways, or indeed to expect subway riders to just deal with it. That is changing, and it's because of your leadership, Governor Hochul, and your leadership, Mayor Adams. Now, I think it's my job to turn the podium over to my partner, who represents the great workers of the MTA, TWU Local 100 President Tony Atano.
I don't have a loose leaf, I only have one page. But what a difference a few months makes. We have a new governor, a new mayor who really care about taking care of this problem that we in the Transport Workers Union Local 100 have been talking about for years and couldn't get any action. And now we have some action. And I want to thank Mayor Adams and Governor Hochul for recognizing that subway riders and workers do not feel safe enough riding the system and working in the system. I want to thank the mayor and the governor also for recognizing that the full weight of government is needed to improve the situation. They're not burying their heads in the sand or pretending everything is wonderful. And it's very good to know that you have people that really are looking at this problem, not just doing something to, sugarcoat it. We're really going to take care of this. And I got my sleeves rolled up and I'm ready to go because my members have been crying for this for a long time. We appreciate the mayor for putting this plan together and for listening to my members and riders who come in and out of the subway. But it's our office. We spend 8 and 10 hours shifts, sometimes more down here. So when we urged the city to put more police officers into the system last year, we knew that that was only the first step, but not the only step. This plan is another major step forward towards improving subway environment and helping those who need help. And these shopping carts, these are a big issue. I had a member, a train went on fire about a year ago, and he rode that train into the subway, into the station, and he made sure those passengers were out of the train and the conductor, and then he got overcome by smoke and he died. And he left a little baby that every year when we have our widows and orphans, I see that baby grow, but not without a father. So this is very important to TWU. This is very important to the public. We need this system to operate safely, and I'm glad that we now have a mayor and a governor that's listening and doing the right thing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. It's people like you that makes me proud to be a New Yorker. We are so grateful for all that you have done for us. Next, I'd like to bring to the podium our incoming Health Commissioner, Dr. Ashwin Vasan.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'll try to be brief. I know we're running a little over. I want to thank the mayor and the governor. I also want to thank Deputy Mayor Williams Isom, without whom this plan and the commitment and the people you see here really wouldn't have been able to be brought together. So thank you for your leadership. The relationship between public health and City Hall is as strong as it's been in a long time. I want to thank leaders from across city government, partners in labor, and colleagues from the state who've come together in a spirit of partnership and collaboration to solve a set of issues that really have never had an all-hands-on-deck approach. We have thankfully arrived at that moment now. This administration is indeed a public health administration. When the mayor talks about prevention and intervention, when the mayor talks about going upstream to dam the rivers that feed crises, that is the essence of public health. It's about the problems that get stemmed and solved before you see them. This is a very visible and complex problem that has a number of upstream roots that this plan is the first step in addressing. To interrupt the seemingly unending crises of hospitalization, isolation, and for far too many even incarceration for unhoused people with severe mental illness and substance use issues, we must address the root causes of our broken mental health systems and housing systems that have failed them for far too long. This is the start of a long-term process. We're putting a stake in the ground for the future, to turn the page, to take a fresh look at one of the most complex and challenging health and social problems that we face as a city and a nation. But remember, this is not just about solving a quote-unquote problem. This is about proactively reaching out to support our brothers, our sisters, our friends, and our neighbors, our fellow New Yorkers, members of my family. I have had and have lost loved ones to the effects of severe mental illness and substance use issues, and this work is deeply personal and meaningful to me. And I'm sure many, if not all of you, know someone struggling with unmet mental health needs, sometimes severe and disabling, that risks descent into crisis, but for care, support, and connection. We must elevate the humanity of those experiencing mental illness by meeting them where they are with the services they need to address the challenges they face at the time that they need it. And by focusing on the 3 Ps, as the mayor has laid out, people, places, and policies, we're going to push our mental health care and support system forward. First, the most immediate and step we will take is investing in more outreach. The city's interagency collaborative teams, including partnerships with the Health Department, the Department of Homeless Services, the MTA, the NYPD, and community-based organizations will increase contact and access points for people experiencing homelessness and severe mental illness, particularly in the subway system. We'll be expanding innovative new programs like our Be Heard 911 behavioral health crisis response system and our health and hospitals show vans, street health and outreach and wellness vans that have been so successful during the pandemic at engaging unhoused New Yorkers into immediate care. But what happens when someone gets engaged in care and has made those initial connections? What happens next? It only works if it's backed up by stable health and social infrastructure. That's why increasing access to psychiatric beds and staffing, creating new drop-off centers. It's crucial to create the places, the immediate destinations, as people transition out of the subway and into safer and more dignified surroundings. These places are needed to keep people connected, to break debilitating social and economic isolation that takes too many lives too soon for people living with chronic, untreated mental illness. And I know, maybe too few people know in the city what it looks like when people with chronic mental illness are doing well. I've run an organization for the last several years called Fountain House, a national rehabilitation program founded here in New York City over 70 years ago, founded to serve exactly this population. I've seen firsthand the power of connection and community combined with healthcare and stable housing at transforming lives, not only reducing negative outcomes like hospitalization, incarceration, and homelessness, but positive outcomes like employment and educational opportunities. Better days are actually ahead, indeed possible, for people living with severe mental illness. And it's time we started the process of investing in this. Finally, no one's an island. Our experiences are shaped by the systemic inequities and the larger policies that create and perpetuate them. That's why New York City will continue to revisit its own laws regarding care and support for unhoused people facing mental health and substance use challenges. But we can't do this alone. We did not get here overnight. We will not get out of this overnight, which is why it's so heartening to see our partners from the state here today to address this most pressing of humanitarian and public health crises. Starting with this plan today, I believe that we can build a stronger mental health system for the New Yorkers who need it the most. Thank you.
They're telling me to hurry up, but we have one last very important voice, someone with a unique perspective whose voice needs to be included in this conversation, and then we will take questions. I'd like to invite to the podium Shams Dabarin.
Wow. First of all, let me just say that I appreciate being here and having a voice. Also, it is a little triggering too, because I'm the guy that was on the train, that slept on all of those trains. I'm the guy that deals with mental illness, that had a serious drinking problem. And to see that the city is taking an approach that addresses those needs for my fellow brothers and sisters who I care so deeply for, I am so overwhelmed that it is triggering in a good way, you know, because I finally see that I'm dealing with an administration and a government that really cares for vulnerable New Yorkers and for all New Yorkers. And that's what I'm about. So y'all know my name is Shams Dabarin. I was born to parents who struggled with addiction. At the age of 2, I became part of the foster care system. At the age of 10, I became homeless. At the age of 12, I was permanently discharged into the streets. I grew up in the gang era of the 70s and crack era of the 80s. But I had the wits to survive when many of my friends went to jail or they died. I was that person that you see in the streets and the subway. I had nowhere to go. I did seek help, but help was hard to find. And I saw myself descend more and more into a state of where it got so bad for me that at one point it was anger that I might have taken out on other people, and then it got to the point where I wanted to hurt myself. And I was in the subway looking at those trains and saying to myself, I can't take it no more. I went to We Care, didn't get no help. They said my fingernails look clean. I'm ready to work. I said, wait, I'm ready to commit suicide. And so today I'm seeing we're not gonna have that no more. We're gonna fix those things so that people are able to get the help that they need. Because I don't like seeing my people in them subways like that. A subway ain't a home. I'm not fighting for that. I don't like to see them in the streets. That ain't no home. I'm not fighting for that. I'm fighting to get them housed. So I'm here today as an advocate and an ally. I'm with you. I'm here to say that something it has to be done, and I see it's gonna be done for our homeless brothers and sisters that are in the subways. So let's be clear. I support Mayor Adams and Governor Hochul. This plan is a great start. Now it's all about getting the work done and getting it done together. We have to be one with this. And Here's my mayor, our mayor, Mayor Adams.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, man.